Fortification labor. When the initial gold rush ended, many slaves were employed in the construction of massive Spanish fortifications to secure the island as a strategic military outpost. This is what did Puerto Rican slavery consist of, from Google.com. Puerto Rican slavery, 15th century to 1873, was a brutal system of forced labor, initially using indigenous Tainos in gold mines and later overwhelmingly relying on enslaved Africans for plantation agriculture, centered on sugar, coffee, and tobacco production. It was characterized by harsh, high mortality, death, working conditions, extreme physical violence, and strict slave codes. Evolution of labor. After indigenous populations declined, the Spanish turned to the transatlantic slave trade. While sugar plantations were primarily drivers, particularly in the 19th century, enslaved people also worked on cattle ranch and in domestic service. Conditions. Slavery in Puerto Rico was characterized by long hours, extreme physical abuse, and due to high intensity, dangerous work in the sugar mills, high mortality rates. Resistance. Enslaved individuals resisted by running away to form maroon communities, revolting in Ponce and Vega, Baja in 1848, and using legal avenues to purchase their freedom. Social and economic control. Slavery was a cornerstone of the island's colonial economy. Slave codes allowed owners to kill rebels, and while some slaves were permitted to purchase their freedom, many continued working to buy their families' freedom. Abolition. Slavery was abolished on March 22nd, 1873, but it was not immediate or fully free. The law required free people to work for an additional 3 years for their former masters, and owners were compensated for the loss of their property. The institution left a lasting, deep impact on the demographic, culture, and social structure of Puerto Rico. This is Puerto Puerto Ricans mining silver. It says historic silver mining in Puerto Rico was limited, with small-scale early Spanish colonial activity and minor deposits rooted in areas like Ciales and Barrio Pasto, often mixed with copper. While the island served as a key transshipment port for South American silver, domestic production was minimal. Modern exploration has indicated potential in specific small-scale polymetallic deposits. Historical context. Early Spanish settlers in the 16th century initially focused on extracting gold and, to a lesser extent, silver using indigenous labor. All right, so that's it for that. I have to bring that point out another day, but yeah, man, all of our people were in captivity. All of our people took part in lifting America up. That's why they call it North, South, and Central America, all owned by this devil. Right, well, they don't own everything that pertains to Israel, though. All right. This Wisdom of Solomon. Back to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, the elites, because the elites know what's going on, and shall be amazed. Hold on. At the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for, right? When we get beamed up in them chariots, so-called UFOs. I'll go back to Jeremiah 51:7 real quick. This is Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. Right, Babylon has been a golden cup. The Lord used us to lift this place up, as I just got to reading to y'all. Sugar, tobacco, gold, silver, amongst other things, were mined by Israelites. When one nation of the Israel couldn't do it, they brought another nation. They brought the Negroes in, Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken of her philosophies, democracy. The nations are drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right, the nations are mad at the U.S. because the monetary system is collapsing, and it's taking nations down with her, fucking up their economies, and they trying to separate from the U.S. behind it, and the U.S. is trying to play the bully to try to keep them in and put sanctions on them and take down nations that don't want to deal with their currency. Let me read it again. Jeremiah 51:7. Babylon had been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken with her philosophies. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Right. So America's on its way out. Her monetary system is bringing her down just as well as other countries. That's why they're mad. But them being mad and trying to leave is the U.S. puffing at them and persecuting them for not wanting their economies to come down. Hence the reason why this next precept gonna state that this place gonna be destroyed. It won't be healed, man. You know? It says, therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Right. Her monetary system is collapsing her from within to a point where she will be destroyed. No, her monetary system is collapsing from within. The nations are separating from her, and she's persecuting the nations. So they're going to persecute her by way of thermonuclear missiles. And read it again. Jeremiah 51:8. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Eventually, America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear missiles from her ally as well as other nations that don't like her, that aren't her allies. How for her? Take balm for her pain. Balm for her pain was the money that they put into the system. Them trying to use Trump to make America great again with his policies. But it's not going to work. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go, every one to his own country. Right, the nations are leaving America. They're taking their businesses with them out of America. For her judgment reaches unto heaven. This is a theme from the Lord. And is lifted up even to the skies. Right, man. So the end all be all of this place, as it's on its way out, is going to be through nuclear thermal fire. Yep. It says, take balm for her pain, she may be healed. America's monetary system is going to collapse, which is going to have these people rise up against this government, because this government has always been lying to them. And it's being orchestrated by the government to bring in the New World Order, and the people know that. So what are they doing? They started all these militias. They had all these runs on buying guns. They got all these videos coming out of military teaching their people how to be militarized. They know niggas ain't really watching them videos like that. This back at Wisdom of Solomon chapter 5, verse 2. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation when the chariots come down and deliver us. So far beyond all that they look for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision, a mockery, mocking us, a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of the Most High? And they gonna witness that, and they gonna understand it because the Lord gonna put it in their spirit, and then they gonna see us being as the Most High. We shall be as he is when he returns, as gods, having power. That's what's coming. That's why they're gonna be in fear and amazed. Verse 4 again, we fools accounted his life madness and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of God, and his lot is among the saints? Therefore we have erred from the way of truth, and the light of righteousness hath not shined unto us, and the sun of righteousness rose not upon us. Right. Alright, I got a couple more precepts that I'm going to bring out before I end it. Because you devils got to pay for putting us in slavery. What y'all did to the Puerto Ricans, so-called Puerto Ricans, Ephraim, what y'all did to the Bolivians, Asher, and then what y'all did to Judah, Benjamin, Levi, brought us from West Africa, East Africa, and put us on them plantations with our brothers after y'all done damn near killed them all off. Y'all gotta pay for that. What is it? 1 Thessalonians. Second Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 6. Seeing it is a righteous thing with God to recompense, to repay tribulation to them that trouble you. Them that trouble who? The Israelites. Those that troubled us, the Lord going to repay them tribulation. That being said, when the Lord returns and subjugates the world, all the heathen are going to captivity. Y'all going into slavery. Y'all had us in slavery? Y'all going into slavery. Y'all had us in the field in the hot weather and killing off millions and millions of us through all that forced labor. That's how y'all gonna be working. But we're gonna have the power to bring y'all back to life right then and there and make y'all resume working. We ain't gotta wait till the third and fourth generation. Bring your ass right back to life right there. Put you back in a specific state of health, not good, and then make you fucking continue working, bitch. Verse 7, and to you who are troubled, rest with us, rest with the prophets in the scriptures. When the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels in flaming fire. And this is a precept telling you that the Lord ain't coming back for peace. He coming back to kill people. It says, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua. And that's mainly dealing with our people, because our people have to obey the gospel. In the kingdom of heaven, we're going to subjugate the heathen, and they're going to have to obey the gospel, or they will not receive any rain. If you don't receive any rain, your crops won't grow. You're going to starve to death. But if you don't receive any rain and don't have any water, you're going to be dehydrated. You're going to be dehydrated. Dry all that. We're going to dry all that shit up. Rainwater is what you need to keep the economy flourishing, keep the plants growing, keep the animals from being dehydrated and dying out. We're going to figure out how we're going to run that water system in the kingdom of heaven. But for the most part, if y'all don't receive no rain, y'all crops aren't going to grow, which is going to produce famine. It says, verse 8 again, in flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not God and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. See? That's not only for our people, that's for the heathen as well, though. This is 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. And then shall... Slack it. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth. Esau is that wicked. He's being revealed in these times. And the Lord is going to consume him with the spirit of his mouth, which is his word, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. That's when he returns. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders. With all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth that they might be saved. That's 2/3 of our people that's going to be put to death for not receiving the love of the truth, so that they might be saved in these times. Not only 2/3, because the 2/3 applies over here. The Lord is going to be over there in that war, involved in that war, and the Lord going to be going throughout these, involved in that war in America, man. You know, and then a lot of people going to die. We'll just say a lot of people going to die during that process when the Lord returns, man. This is Galatians. Chapter 6. Verse 7, be not deceived, the Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Right, Esau, it says, but he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption. Right, slavery. That's sowing to your flesh. It's going to lead to your detriment, to your death. But he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap life everlasting. And only the Israelites can reap life everlasting by sowing to the Spirit. You know? Revelation chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Right, captivity, slavery. They put us in slavery. They killed us off with the sword. We're going to get payback. That's the patience of the saints. The saints are the Israelites, so-called blacks and Latins, Native Americans, according to Psalms. You know? I haven't seen this precept in a minute. This is Psalm chapter 145, real quick. The Lord preserveth all them that love him, but all the wicked will he destroy. All right, this is back to the saints. Psalm chapter 148, verse 14. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him, praise ye the Lord. Right, so the saints is the Lord's people, the Israelites. Isaiah 24 and 21. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh shall punish the host of the high ones, the elites that are on high, and the kings of the earth upon the earth. Right, the kings, the presidents, and the elites There's ones that's in the secret society pulling all the strings. It's still people that go by the name king and prince in this world, upon this earth right now. But the modern day kings are your presidents. So if they're not Israelites, they're going into slavery. You know, and with that being said, man, I'm going to go ahead and end it. Call all Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash, that honors to the elders and the apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. Shalom.